Dispatchers help callers on the worst days of their lives. For over 25 years, we've been there. A silent partner in millions of calls thanks to our redundant and diverse networks that ensure call delivery. Today, cities are bigger, traffic more congested, and the challenge is more complex. But you're never alone, because InDigital is quietly improving, implementing, and driving the next generation of 911, so you're supported in every situation. Make the switch at indigital.net.
My job is all about purpose.
Just the ability to make a difference, to help someone be able to go home at the end of the day.
My great-grandfather started the volunteer fire department in Springfield, Nebraska. My grandmother was a nurse. My uncle was a fire chief in Atlanta, Georgia. So somewhere down the line, it was my purpose to be doing this.
Yeah, we're a family here.
The data we get from Rapid SOS is life-saving.
Have you ever met a 911 professional and asked, what's the worst call you've ever taken? Well, here's your answer. I heard your last breath the night you flipped your four-wheeler. I tried to call you the day you committed suicide by driving your car into a tree. Blue face, cold to the touch. I helped you with CPR after you found your infant face down, not breathing. It messed me up. I did everything I could, but it wasn't enough. You were with me from the beginning, Grandma. 27 years later, I took the 911 call when you died. How fitting to be there for me in the beginning, and I was there for you in the end. I miss you, Grandma. I am 911. This is but a glimpse into the world of emergency dispatch. But what is it really like to answer a call during someone's nightmare? What is the impact of the first responder answering the call? Available on Amazon or where you purchase your favorite books and ebooks. Imagine listening. Your worst day is our everyday.
Hey, what's going on? This is Ricardo, and I just wanted to jump in here really quick before the episode because, as you all know, I have a partnership between Rapid SOS and Within the Trenches podcast. And well, next week, we are going to be stepping into an opportunity focused on bringing together the first responder community. And by the way, have you ever watched The Pit? If not, the second season premieres today, so make sure to check it out. And you're probably wondering why I even mentioned that to begin with. Well, stay tuned, because there's more to come on that.
This is Jordan, and you're listening to the Code 7 Podcast Network.
Warning. This episode contains the 3 A's of podcasting: adult content, adult language, and awesomeness. You've been warned.
You have a hard time hearing good things about yourself because I'm so caught up into making sure that other people around me know that they are appreciated and that, regardless to how big or small, the token of love that's shown to me, I appreciate it. But I just have a hard time making it about me.
Right, yes.
It's kind of like, I have to be reminded. If I want to give you something and you go, oh, no, you don't have to do that. And I'll go, don't block your blessing. I'll
Yes,
tell you, don't block your blessing.
I love that, yeah.
But then when the tables are turned, I know that it's a blessing, but there's just that little bit of me that goes, man, somebody really feel like that.
Welcome to Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them.
Hey, what's going on? This is Ricardo with the Code 7 Podcast Network, and this is Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them. This episode is sponsored by InDigital as well as Rapid SOS, and a huge shout out to subscribers of the podcast and all of you who are watching, listening, supporting, and sharing. I wouldn't be able to do what I do if it wasn't for all of you, so thank you so very much. We are currently live here, well, recording live here at the Mayan Ranch in Bandera, Texas, and we're here for the first mental health ranch training event, and I am sitting with my guest today. I'm excited. We were already laughing and talking and everything, and I am here with Carolyn out of Beaumont, Texas.
Yes.
911 professional. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me.
This is going to be fun. We've had this week together already. I had some weirdness coming in. All of you were already in class, and I was half awake when I walked in, and Joe's like, "Ricardo's here," and I'm just like, "Hi."
Yes, but he did tell us that you were running late, and you would get there. He said he's gonna get here. He just wasn't sure about the time. So we were excited to see you.
Well, it was awesome to come in and everything, and it was the weather. The snow was all over the place, and being in Atlanta, I love going into hot Atlanta, GA, but for whatever reason lately, it's just been crazy flying through there. So everyone was upset and everything, and I thought, what's the point of being upset? Like, we're all stuck here for the moment anyway.
Just embrace it.
Let's try to make the best of it. Yeah, but yes, got here, had a little bit of sleep, but we're here, and a lot of good stuff happened. And I'm excited to have you on because I want to hear more about your story, especially because you are also a recipient of the Guiding Light Award, which we'll talk about here pretty soon. But that was one of the first things that happened. And honestly, I don't know how Joe knew that I was rolling up when I did. Because when I was parking, I saw him walking towards me already. And he goes, "You're here at the perfect time because I want to do this award and stuff." And I was like, "Okay, I'll get my camera out."
Yes, and he gave me no warnings. I mean, it
nothing
was
at all.
Nothing. It was like, "Okay, we're doing this." And he was like, "I need to read this letter." And when he said it, I knew that I was a recipient, me and another guy.
Yeah.
But it was so overwhelming to actually hear.
Yeah.
To hear what someone honestly thought about me. Because you never know who's watching.
Right, exactly.
You never know who's watching, and you really never know how people truly feel about you. So as Joe read the letter, he was like, and it was like a continuation. And I finally said, "Who wrote the letter, Joe?" And he says, "Charles Etta Malone." And Charles Etta is such a beautiful soul. From the day I met her, it was like our spirits connected. We were in Galveston, Texas APCO Nina. She was actually on Nina's committee. I want to say she was the president one of those years. But I remember us going into Happy Buddha one night. And she was so transparent with me. And sometimes when you're transparent with people, they judge you.
Yeah.
Or you feel as though you're being judged. And I just don't roll like that.
Yeah.
Because we all have a story. We all fall short. So I end up texting her because the words that she used to describe me was just beautiful. So to hear someone else speak like that about you, sometimes you feel like you're not worthy. But to know that somebody else feels that way just validates who I am, whose I am, and what I do. But most of all, how I treat people. And that's just how I was raised, to always be mindful of how I engage with strangers. How I treat someone, because you never know who may have to do for you.
Right, exactly, yes. And really quick, as we're jumping into this, you're about to watch footage from that moment here. So check it out.
This year, we started the Guiding Light Award. Our Guiding Light, our first recipient, is Carolyn Lewis. So we asked people to nominate folks for this award. And so I'm going to read you this letter. She did not submit this letter. She did not submit this letter telling me how great she is. I am graciously honored to nominate Carolyn Lewis for the Guiding Light Award for her outstanding, exceptional, and selfless commitment to being a servant leader. Carolyn exemplifies, exceeds, and embodies the high-level qualities that distinguish a servant leader. Since I met Carolyn over 15 years ago, she has been a mentor, an example, and most importantly, a friend. She has an authentic, unforgettable, and unapologetic personality. Her smile and presence in any room create positive interactions and positive energy. Carolyn's unwavering dedication to serving her staff, colleagues, and the community is commendable. She consistently offers a helping hand to her staff by assisting them with a call on the floor, empowering them to take the required steps to become trainers and supervisors, or encouraging their ongoing participation in numerous training opportunities to enhance their professional growth. She believes in her staff, provides corrective training as needed for improvement, and offers the necessary tools to excel in their respective roles. She gives her telecommunicators the space to lead, the support to grow, and the confidence to trust in themselves. Carolyn is truly developing new leaders to take her place. Her tireless efforts will propel her organization forward and spearhead the next generation of 911 professional leaders. I can stop there, but there's more. Carolyn exhibits trustworthiness, caring, and reliability. Her staff and colleagues have reached out to her on many occasions to solicit advice, guidance, and support, knowing that she will express her honest opinion. She has created a confidential, safe space where a person can be honest, be vulnerable, feel valued and heard, and not be judged. Carolyn shows empathy, kindness, respect, and compassion to others who trust in her exceptional leadership. Difficult moments may arise, but Carolyn remains a beacon of positivity and sheds light for others to see. She recognizes that challenges and obstacles can be resolved with real-time solutions. I can stop there. But wait, there's more. Carolyn is a strong advocate for telecommunicator training. She works collaboratively with her local council of governments, city and council officials, and surrounding public safety agencies to provide advanced and specialized training courses. The courses are offered to her agency's personnel and extended to all surrounding agencies. Her motto is, "No telecommunicator left behind." This creates an opportunity for all telecommunicators, no matter the title or length of service, to participate and receive beneficial information that can be used at their respective agency. Carolyn recognizes that each agency strives to provide exceptional service to the citizens it serves. Her advocacy and service to others expand beyond jurisdictional boundaries. Carolyn solicits the assistance of her staff, colleagues, elected officials, and community partners to assist her community initiative to bring smiles to others who may not have an opportunity to interact with others. Her steadfast commitment to community service is exhibited through her dedication to visiting the elderly and shut-in throughout the community. For Valentine's Day 2025, Carolyn and her volunteers visited several assisted living facilities and provided the residents with goodie bags. In addition, the volunteers also visited some homebound citizens in the community and provided goodie bags. The visits and the goodie bags were greatly appreciated. She plans to revisit the same facilities and residents and provide gift bags for Mother's Day. Her dedication to serving others is truly remarkable. Carolyn's authentic spirit defines her heart. Her natural persona is to go above and beyond without soliciting personal recognition. Carolyn truly personifies the definition of having the heart of a servant leader. I am very proud to nominate Carolyn Lewis for the Guiding Light Award. She undoubtedly is worthy of being the recipient of this award. Carolyn Lewis.
So we just finished watching that part right there, and as you were talking through it and everything, I remember as I was taking the video, I was looking down at you, and you're kind of covering your mouth a little bit, and you're just watching, and like you said, Joe kept saying, and how all of you have watched here already too, that Joe goes. And more, right? But before that, he goes, and I would stop there, but
there's more.
There's more, yeah. And I thought, because I was looking at the paper, and I thought, is there stuff on the back, or is he going to joke around and like turn around, turn the paper around because there was so much? Yes. And he did turn the paper around.
He did.
There was more.
There was more.
Yeah.
There was more, and I don't know. Sometimes, how do you say it, Ricardo? You have a hard time hearing good things about yourself because I'm so caught up into making sure that other people around me know that they are appreciated,
right.
And that, regardless to how big or small the token of love that's shown to me, I appreciate it. But I just have a hard time making it about me.
Right, yes.
It's kind of like, I have to be reminded. If I want to give you something and you go, oh, no, you don't have to do that. And I'll go, don't block your blessing. I'll
yes,
tell you, don't block your blessing.
I love that, yeah.
But then when the tables are turned, I know that it's a blessing, but there's just that little bit of me that goes, man, somebody really feel like that about me.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons that we struggle with that too is, of course, we don't need all the kudos, right? It's good to have something like this happen or someone to say thank you, even a thank you, right? But what is the thing that people say most of the time? When you get kudos, it's, well, I was just doing my job. But I think we need to just finally normalize us being happy about what we do and the good things. Yeah, there's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of bad in 911. But let's look at those rewarding moments as well. Because those are the ones that we can look back on when we're having those hard moments and remember why we're doing what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it also feels like, and I say this in the class that I teach too, that if you feel as though you need permission to be happy about what it is that you've done so that you don't feel selfish or anything like that, because there have been a few times people have said, well, I just kind of feel selfish. I'm like, no, be happy about what you've done.
Yeah.
And so here's your permission. I tell people, here's your permission. Be happy about what you've done.
And it's funny that you say that because some of the ladies that I've met from this workshop, after that moment, they were like, Miss Carolyn, I get that, because just being around you in this setting, it shows that this is just who you are. And I'm like, man, they don't even know me. I mean, are they being funny? And they were like, no. I mean, you walk up and it's like a beam of light that shines.
Yeah.
And you just make everyone feel like they are the most important thing or important person to you. And that's what I want. I want you to feel like you matter. But at the same time, I matter too.
Right, yeah. No,
so
exactly.
I receive what you just said. It's okay. It's not a selfish moment.
Right, yes.
I receive it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Now, I want to go back in time a little bit. And I want to learn a little more about you here as we're talking about all of this and really building up to what we've been talking about. How did you get started in public safety to begin with? Now, do you come from a family of public safety, or did you just kind of fall into it like a lot of us do?
No, I fell into this. So I worked for Texas State Optical Lab in my city. And during that time, I worked with a female. Her name was Deborah Goss. And at that time, Deborah was dating her now husband, Scott Lisenby, And during that time, Scott was in the military. But we would talk about Scott so much, and I knew that he had a desire to join the police department once he was released from the military, and he had a dream of becoming a K-9 officer. So we knew that there was some cutbacks coming our way, and Deborah shared that with me. She was like, listen, there's gonna be some cutbacks, but my police department is hiring. You need to apply. And I was like, I don't know about that, Deborah. I don't know. But Deborah was so persistent. She never wavered on it. I mean, she said it until finally one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to apply. So where our office was located is literally now across the street from where I currently work now.
Oh, no way.
So I walked down to City Hall,
Yeah.
applied to be a 911 operator. There were 15 applicants that started. There was a total of 15 of us that started November 9th, 1992. So, okay, I got the job and I'm like, man, I don't know if I like the police. I don't know anything about the police.
Right.
I have no clue.
Yeah.
I don't even know what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So, going into law enforcement from making eyeglasses was big.
Right.
That was huge. And I had literally moved from working in the back in the lab to moving in the front because Deborah was admin. Mm-hmm. So I moved in the front with Deborah. I would check people in, type a few things. So I had the background of knowing how to type, doing a little administrative work. Still didn't know about the police. I didn't know what dispatching was. No clue. No clue.
Like, what am I getting myself into?
Exactly. Like, okay, Lord, here we are. So I get the job, and this was interesting. Like I said, there was a total of 15 of us. And of course, we knew that it would be shift work at some point. I was just blessed, though, because each person, well, let me start over and say, back when I started in the 90s, you had sergeants working in the office. Can you relate to that? So it wasn't all civilians.
Yeah.
You had sergeants as the supervisors, and you had sworn personnel as the trainers.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I remember Joanne Jenkins and Michelle Mitkiff, Sergeant Al Johnson, J.T. Hall, those were the officers and the sergeants working in there with us. And, back then it was about respect.
Yep.
I couldn't just call Joanne. It had to be Officer Jacobs or Officer Mitkiff. It was about respect.
Right.
And they literally had to give you the approval to call them by their first name. One of my sergeants, Sergeant Sean Tolley, I remember Sean, telling someone one day, I didn't give you permission to call me Sean.
What?
I'm Officer Tolley, and
I get it. But
yeah, we get it. Listen, we get it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. I remember our office was so small, and we're in there one day and in the little call taking area, and then the dispatch floor was real small. And, Joanne and Michelle were excellent trainers, but they didn't play games. So we're sitting in there, and if they saw you not studying your material, because remember, you have to know the class codes. You need to know the priority of these calls. There's a lot that goes exactly. There's a lot that goes
where's
into
my
this.
flashcards?
Exactly. You better be studying because this job entails a lot of stuff. And Joanne and Michelle they were great about, oh, you don't have anything to do? Let me give you a test. So they would give you a test. which I appreciate that now.
Yeah.
But, coming in is very intimidating. Hey, I got to make sure I call them officer. I need to make sure I have some material to study. It's a lot. And I don't even know what I'm doing. So yeah.
So you get the job, you're going through all of this. When you go in, like, what is it that you see? For those who are watching and listening, do you see multiple people on the floor working at the same time? Is there a bunch of monitors, or is it just you who's working for 8 hours or 12 hours? Like, what? Set the stage there. Like, what do you remember walking in and seeing?
So you walk into this little room and you see a sergeant sitting at a desk. You see officers working the radio and other civilians. And during the time that we started in 1992, they were about to get a new CAD system. So they basically learned the new CAD system with us.
Oh.
So, okay, all right, no problem. We got this. So you have 3 main channels. You have where the officers are being dispatched to their calls once they arrive. They're going to arrive on that particular channel. Back then it was channel 4. They key up on channel 4, and the call load was very intimidating. And back then we didn't have 800 megahertz. We didn't have all of those repeaters. So those officers could literally cover you.
Yeah.
So you key up and they key up, you get this bunk, or
You're taking me back.
Yeah, or they say something to you and you say something to them, or you say something. Barbie is now the manager for Lakeway PD, but Barbie and I started the same day. It's so funny because she was trying to say Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
And she said Kentucky Fried Chicken. Kentucky Fried Chicken. And those guys, back then you could key up, man.
Yes.
You could just key up. They could click. We would say, oh, they're clicking you. So we knew we had said something wrong.
Yes.
But just to know that back then we had, darn, if we didn't have 13, 14, 15 calls sometimes holding, and you fought for airtime to get those calls dispatched.
Wow.
Yeah, so you walked in and hey, this is what it is. We dispatch these calls, let's get to it. You have citizens calling, so you can't be intimidated because you have people calling in to dispatch that need your help.
Right, yeah.
You have these officers that you're sending that may yell for help. So you have to be on point and very attentive, because you're there so many more hours than you are at your regular, at home.
Yes.
That is your new family.
Exactly.
That's your new
second
family.
home. Yeah.
Yes.
So you're going through all of this. You have those moments with the clicking, and I remember that we would try to hit the button, or like, we can't even get through. And of course, an officer would say, I need more information. Like, we're trying to give it to you. Like, stop keying up because you're cutting us off.
Yes.
But of course, once they switch frequencies and 800 megahertz, like all that other stuff, that doesn't happen anymore. But I do remember those moments,
Yes.
and just trying to get through it. Now, as you are in the beginning of that, was there anything that either surprised you, and also, how overwhelming was it? Because like you're saying, you're coming into this from working in a lab,
Yeah.
and everything. And
Yeah.
so what is that part like for you as well?
So surprisingly enough, you have the opportunity to ride out. So that was basically the introduction to let you know that, Beaumont is broken down into 3 zones. Zone 1 is the north end, zone 2 is the west end, zone 3 is the south end. Well, I grew up in the south end. So here I am. I'm being told that I have to ride out. So I ride out with Becky and Yvonne Hoffa. And we get this phone call, we're just riding around and they're showing me, different areas. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because some areas I'm strong in, some areas I'm not.
Yeah.
I know the area where I grew up. I don't know the West End and the North End. So we get a call for service of a victim of a stabbing, a disturbance. And the location was not far from my dad's home. Becky and Yvonne weren't really familiar with that area of town.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know where that is. And they were like, all right, well, you direct us. And they allowed me to tell them how to get to that residence. But the one thing that I didn't think about, Ricardo, was the possibility that I just may know the person or the people involved in this disturbance.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they tell you off the cuff is the privacy. You can't discuss it. We don't care if you know them. It could be a family member. You still have to act like you don't know anything, which is fine.
Yeah.
I can handle that. So we arrive at the scene. I get them there, and I'm like, yes, I got them there. We end up going to Baptist Hospital, and it turns out that the boyfriend had gone in when the mother answered the door. Back then there was a screen door on this particular home. Mm-hmm. And he stabbed mom through the screen. When she opened the door, he stabbed her. She fell, he gained entry into the home, and he cut up the girlfriend. He cut her pretty bad. It was bad. And I thought, man, this would be horrible if they both pass away. So let's go. We're at the hospital, we get there, and I see a young lady that actually worked with me at the lab. I know Tammy. I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? And she proceeds to tell me that her mom had just passed away from a disturbance involving her sister's boyfriend. And her sister was still, they were working on her. And just to see her face and to hear her story and to know, at that moment, I didn't say, Tammy, I showed the police how to get to that address, mm-hmm. not knowing that was your mom and your sister. But just to be there with her at that moment, Ricardo, validated my new profession.
Wow. You gave me goosebumps. I say that too because anyone that I've spoken to, I feel like there is a moment, an incident, something that happens that brings you to that realization, mm-hmm. that moment of clarity or confirmation that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
That you're there, and wow. Yeah, I still got.
Yeah,
wow.
and as the years progressed, back then, juveniles came through the police department. Mm-hmm. So, I had an opportunity to talk to some of the juveniles, like, look, this is not the place you want to be. Before those guys would transport them to juvenile detention, I'd be like, man, don't let me see you up here. Do better.
Yeah.
Don't be influenced by what your friends are doing or what your friends are telling you to do, and they're not doing it. You're here, not them.
Exactly.
So, I stopped questioning my why. I knew that I only applied for that job because Deborah told me to.
Yeah.
And that was, why did you apply? Because Deborah told me to. And I trusted her. And to this day, I still trust her. To this day, she is now married to Sergeant Scott Lisenby, who happens to be the sergeant over K9. So all of this was, it was like it was an affirmation, mm-hmm. And I've witnessed that affirmation that he had, you know, when he got out of the military, become a Beaumont police officer, from being a Beaumont police officer, being a sergeant. So that validated and showed me that, you know, I can speak things, we can speak things into existence. So I started speaking things into my life as it applied to my career, because one of my supervisors, her name is Shirley Spitzer, phenomenal supervisor. And she had the type of spirit that she didn't mind taking the time to show you and explain and make sure that you got it, that you received it. She recently retired, but she left dispatch and became the custodian of records. But my friendship with her is bigger than a friendship. We're family. You know, like we said earlier, we're with them so much that they become our family.
Of course.
So
yes.
with Shirley's training skill, she didn't just teach me how to dispatch. She taught me, you know, the administrative things. You know, she showed me how she would do payroll. And it got so funny because sometimes we would be so busy that she would, you know, when her shift ended, she may have forgotten to do something. And I knew it. And I may have called her and said, hey, you forgot to do such and such. Do you mind if I do it? And then tomorrow you can check it. And she just would be like, yeah, that's fine. She could have been that supervisor that would say, don't touch it.
Right, yes.
You know? So a lot of things that I know, I credit her for that. I credit her for being that person that you could laugh with, that person you could cry with, but that person that you could learn from.
See, I really love that because I'll ask people, especially if they've gone over to be like a CTO, like a trainer and all, and I always ask, because there's always one of two things. Either they had really crappy training and they became a trainer, or even a supervisor, whichever, because they don't want that literal next generation of 911 to deal with what they dealt with, or a story like yours, where they had someone who was just so good that it inspired them and motivated them to do the same thing and to continue that type of legacy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because you can mold them coming in, because all of the stuff that we do now, or even back then, you know, those before you, it's the stuff that we're doing, like some of it, yeah, we get some benefits, right? But it's really for those who are coming in.
Absolutely.
Like how do you want people to remember you? And I've asked people this before, and there's a lot of people who say, well, I don't care what people think of me.
Yes, we do.
In the back of your mind, you
yes,
care.
We do.
And those who did leave, just like the last center that I was at, you know, some of those that left that had that type of mentality where they really didn't care. That's how we remembered those folks, is people who were just kind of toxic, and we were glad that they were gone.
Absolutely.
Because then better people were coming in, and it really fit what we were trying to do and trying to keep people. And I think if we can continue to do things like that and have folks like you and everything just continuing that cycle of just good things that are going on, people are going to want to stay.
Yes, and people should be given grace.
Yes.
We did not walk in, you and I did not walk into this job, this profession, knowing the job.
Right.
Someone took a chance on us. So I feel like we have to give grace. We have to be able to say, you know what? When I walked in as a trainee. I didn't walk in knowing if I liked the police. Be transparent with them. This job can be overwhelming. This job can be stressful, but it can also be so rewarding.
Yes. Yes.
Definitely. I'm sure during your tenure as a dispatcher, as with myself, you have dealt with a call that involved a family member.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I had an aunt call once, and you toe that line, depending on where you're at. Of course, you can't say, but sometimes you toe the line of, do I let them know who I am? And my aunt had called in. She was freaking out because there was a guy in a house next to her that looked like they were trying to break in, and I couldn't really get her to calm down. And I just thought, I'm just going to tell her. And the aunt in Spanish is Tia. And I said, Tia, I said, it's Richie. And she goes, ay, mi Richie, it's you. And I was like, okay, we're doing this. We're reeling her in. We're bringing her down. And I said, listen, I said, everything is okay. I said, I'll have that person make contact with you if you need to, because it's one of our officers. The house that was next to her, the people that were there, they wanted extra patrol because they had gone for vacation. So that's what the officer was doing there. And she kept saying, it's someone with a flashlight who's just looking outside and looking inside the house. And I said, no, it's one of our officers. Everything is okay. And she goes, oh, okay. I'm so glad it was you that picked up the phone. And afterwards, when I hung up, I just kind of held myself. I was like, did
exactly.
Good.
You did good, and you made a difference.
Right, yeah.
You made a difference, and you made sure that she was aware. And there are times I'm like, I don't even want him to know who I am.
Right.
I don't even want him to know where I work, because some people take that as, oh, hey, I got a parking ticket, or I got a speeding ticket. Can you get rid of the ticket? No, I can't.
Yeah.
So who are you going to give the ticket to before I started working here? I mean, what?
Yeah, there's no extra privilege.
There's man, we still have to abide by the law.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is so, the job in itself, it's a good job.
Yeah.
It really is. And I think there's so many people out there that really don't know the benefits of becoming a telecommunicator for the police department. The benefits are good. The hours may suck. You're going to give up the weekends and the holidays in the beginning, but eventually you'll get them off.
Right. It's just like any job.
Any job.
You gotta work your way up.
You have to work your way up. You definitely have to work your way up. But I will say that this year made year 33 for me, and I don't regret any of it.
I had no idea it was 33 years. I was going to ask you how
Yeah.
many years you got. Congratulations, like that.
Yeah.
That's a milestone.
I have
'cause
only worked for Beaumont. I've
There's-
never worked for another agency. I started Beaumont PD with 14 other coworkers, November 9th, 1992.
Wow. That is amazing. And your anniversary was just last month. Yeah. Wow. 33 years and all of this stuff that you've gone through. And it just, so I have a question for you. And as long as you feel comfortable talking about it, just kind of reflecting a little bit on a call that kind of sticks with you out of all that time. I know that we all have maybe several, but sometimes there are those that stick out more because of whatever the situation was. And just, for example, one that sticks with me, other than, of course, my call with my grandmother that I spoke with you about, it was two brothers. And I won't go into deep detail or anything, but it was a tragedy that happened with these two brothers. And when I was done with the call, my supervisor at the time, which was actually a girl that I grew up with and went to school with, we ended up working in dispatch together, which was crazy. But she says, "Are you okay?" And of course I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." But I wasn't fine. And I was screwed up the rest of that shift. The only thing that helped me was as soon as I got out, it was just like 10 to 5 in the morning, I called my brother because I needed to hear his voice. I needed to know that he was okay. Because with what we do, we're empaths, right? We put ourselves in the caller's shoes and we experience this with them, which is why it sticks with us a lot of times. But we do that as well to build that rapport and get the questions, the answers to the questions that we're asking, to get them help as fast as possible. So I had put myself in that spot with this call, and all I could think was, I hope my brother's okay. That's where I was going, where this whole thing was going on. And I call him in the morning, and like I said, it's like 5 in the morning, and the phone is just ringing and ringing. I'm like, please pick up the phone. And he picks up the phone half awake, and he's like, "Hello?" And I said, "Man, I love you." And I waited,
And he goes, shut the hell up.
Like, dude, like, really? What the hell you want?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. And he goes, no, seriously, what's going on? I said, oh man, I love you. And he goes, okay, tell me what happened. So I told him about the call. And afterwards he goes, I love you too, dude. And that's what helped me. It wasn't anything else. I just needed to hear his voice. Like, how crazy is that?
It's not crazy. It's not crazy at all. I won't refer to a call that I took.
Mm-hmm.
I'll refer to an event that impacted me.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, my shift is ending, and I heard the dispatcher on the phone talking to a mother. Anitra was the call taker.
Mm-hmm.
Anitra was the call taker. And I heard Anitra talking to this lady. And what stood out the most was she kept saying that she didn't want her son to wreck her car. He had she caught him doing something.
Yeah.
And she was concerned about him wrecking her car. I'm going about my business. It's the end of my shift, not thinking anything about that call. A few hours later, I get a phone call, and that particular phone call, not only did the son wreck his mother's car, but he took the life of a very good friend of mine. And his name was Officer Brian Hebert. So much so that Brian and I had a inside working relationship because, you know, back then if the officers got hurt, they were working in the office in dispatch with us.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of times, several times, Brian would call me and go, hey, if it was payday and he wasn't in the office, say, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you go downstairs in patrol and get my paycheck?
Mm-hmm.
My mom and dad are gonna come and pick it up. So I was like, yeah, that's not a problem. But something unique happened because I established a relationship with Brian's parents. And to this day, they call me their black daughter-in-law. His dad has since passed away, but his mom and his sister Holly are still dear and near to my heart. But I recalled, you know, when I got the phone call saying Brian had a wreck, my first instinct, you know, I was like, I think Kelly Schultz had called me and told me. I jumped in my car and I drove straight to the hospital, not even thinking, you know, maybe I need to go to dispatch, maybe somebody needs help.
Yeah.
But my first instinct was, I need to make sure Brian's okay, not knowing that he didn't make it. So out of all the things that are all the calls that you can imagine I've taken through the years, me hearing Anitra on the phone with this lady about her car being damaged sticks with me. His death sticks with me. And Lisa Beaulieu, who was also an officer and killed in the line of duty, her death sticks with me because on the very night that her life was taken, she and I stood outside of the office on the back steps talking. And then, you know, when we think, okay, Ricardo, we leave from this setting, you know, and we're like, hey, I'll see you tomorrow. And tomorrow never got here. So I think out of all of the bad things that I have ever handled, I've blotted those out because those two people meant something to me.
Yeah.
So just the little things I remember listening to Kelly talk to the lady that called in, you know, when she saw Lisa get hit and she fell off the top of the overpass. And she was running with her cell phone in her pocket. So Kelly had a hard time understanding what this caller was saying. Why would I listen to that? You know, what gravitated me to really want to know what happened? You know, but I did. And here we are today talking about it. You know, I'm not reflecting on something that one call that made a difference, or that I may have made a difference in the way that I handled it. I reflect on these two people because they mattered to me, and I had a relationship with them, and they lost their lives serving others and trying to be helpful to others. And I think that is just another reason why I want to always give, why I want to always let somebody know that they matter. You know, because I had a conversation with Lisa. She mattered. Brian, you know, through something so minute as, hey, Carolyn, can you get my check and pass it off to my mom?
Yeah.
She mattered, and his dad mattered. And even after his passing, his mom still matters to me. His sister Holly still matters to me. And I reflect on those calls. And again, it's okay to be selfish and think about something that I've done, but I thank God for the call takers that handled both of those calls. Mm-hmm. I was on the back end, you know, not involved in it, but involved in it.
Right.
So those are the things that stand out for me. Not necessarily what I've done in my years of service, but just knowing that I work with a crew of people that, hey, when the shit hits the fan, we handle our business.
Working like a well-oiled machine.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I think what's beautiful about what you just told me, which thank you very much for sharing that with me as well, is I tell people all the time, and it took me a while to realize this as well, but I tell people that even though some of these calls that we take don't have the outcome that we want, that ultimately the good thing about that was that you were still able to serve in the sense that that caller was not alone. You were there with them. And with what you told me, it's almost the same in that sense. Because even though you lost these two special people to you, especially the gentleman, which you end up gaining from that as well, Mom and his sister, they're not alone because they still have you as well, and you have them there. Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful connection. I think that's one of the things as well in this profession, that's what we have in not just us together, those out in the field, those calling, trusting a voice, is that connection.
Absolutely.
How powerful is that? Like,
absolutely.
And not just that, but the power that we have in our voice and our story as well. Anybody who ends up watching this, listening to this, is going to get something out of what you are talking about, your story. Some people have, some folks have emailed in saying that just from listening to other people's stories, they had nothing to do with public safety, but the power of that story made them want to be part of something bigger than themselves.
Yes.
And they end up joining, and they are doing, big things as well. And there's also a lot more resources now
Absolutely.
than there was before, which is,
yes.
big in itself. So
yes.
I have got just a couple questions left here before we go into the wrap up of this episode, which has been phenomenal to have you on and chat with you. This has been great. In your 33 years, how has the technology changed?
What? 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 That's not even a fair question. Listen.
Well, even from 2001, when I started, the technology is blown up. I mean, we
Ricardo,
didn't even have a CAD system.
Listen, exactly.
I love
we had
that
a
you have
green
your hand
screen.
on your hip.
Yes, we had a green screen, right?
Yes. DOS type. Yeah.
Now we can text to 911.
Right.
Rapid SOS has a phenomenal mapping system that we have access to. But the one thing that sticks out with me right now that my daughter tells me I need to go on a fast from is AI.
Oh, okay.
So let me tell you, the language line.
Mm-hmm.
The language line is AI now.
What?
So when you call in, you know, typically for our area, we speak mostly to Hispanics. So when we call the language line, we get press 1 for Spanish. All others, you know, you press a different line, a different number.
Yeah.
But AI is faster. So I put it to the test. A couple of weeks ago, we did a test call for Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Went well. So one of my friends own a nail shop, and they're Asian. So I asked her to do it, and she was like, no. Her husband came in, and he did it for me. They had to ask him his language because Vietnamese, they're not there yet,
Yeah.
but they're getting there.
Yeah.
So as we progress, you know, we see things that, you know, the 800 megahertz, you know, the radios are encrypted now. We didn't have all of that.
No, anybody could listen on the scanner.
Anybody could listen. Do you remember the reels? You know, at
yeah.
12 midnight, we would have to go and change the reel.
The dot matrix printer, the
Yeah.
ring.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Whereas now, some younger generations that we hired recently, I asked him to go and fax something. He was like, how do you fax? What?
Yes.
They don't know. So technology is, I mean, listen, it has changed tremendously.
Loaded. Yes.
Yes, a lot has changed.
And it continues.
Yes.
And it continues and continues. And I think one of the best things too, and I tell people this all the time, because some folks are afraid. They're like, AI is going to take our jobs. I'm like, well, no. Like, we need that human factor. AI is supposed to be like, you know, on your shoulder, like an assistant to help you do things faster and relieve some of the mundane, you know, like alarm calls or whatever, you know, that come in. So just try to embrace some of it that's coming, because it's there to help just make the job easier. I love the fact that you're all about it. So that's pretty awesome.
Listen,
I dig it.
You know now, some systems you have the ability, like by my PD, we have a real-time crime center, which is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
You can look at the cameras. They can look at the body cams from the officers, which is a plus. But you know, with Rapid SOS, I could tell a citizen, look, let me send you this message, and you accept it, and then it's like we're doing a FaceTime together.
Yeah.
You know, so we can see,
Yeah.
you know, what you're looking at.
Right.
I mean, that in itself, technology is up there. It is up there.
Yeah, I love it. And so as we go into the wrap up of this awesome episode that we've had here with you, I've got one last question.
Uh-oh.
And it's one that I didn't tell you.
Oh,
I did it on purpose. But it'll be an easy one.
Okay.
I swear, it'll be an
Okay.
easy one. So, in your 33 years being in this profession, now also with this question, it's not to change anything, because I believe that, you know, there's a lot of things that we go through, whether it be hard lessons, whatever, that brings us to the person that we are today. So it's not to change anything. But if you could go back in time and talk to yourself in the beginning of your dispatch career, what would you tell yourself?
If I could go back, I would tell myself that you really can do this job. Because there were times that I didn't believe that I could do it. I didn't believe that I could become a trainer. I didn't believe that I could become a shift supervisor. And I surely didn't believe that I would eventually be the manager over a 911 center. So I would look back at that young girl and say, the sky is the limit. Let's get in here, let's get it, and we will have no regrets. Because at the end of the day, if we go home and no one, not a citizen, not an officer, has been injured for any lack of information or misinterpretation of something I said or done, then I've had a good day. So looking back at my young self and being involved in this mental health workshop this week, it's okay to not be okay.
There you go.
That's what I tell that girl. It's okay to not be okay. And every day will be a different day. And some days will be harder than others. But we got this.
Hell yes. That was perfect. Thank you. Again, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story, and for what you do in this profession. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It has been fun. And AI. Man.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
For those who are watching and listening, if you have any comments, questions, or you ever want to be a guest on the show, you can email me at wttpodcast@gmail.com, or you can simply go to links, and that's links with 2is.co/IM911. You'll find everything there. Shout out to Indigital and Rapid SOS for sponsoring the podcast, and to subscribers. And if you ever want any free continuing education, I have over 200 hours worth of free continuing education, and that is on the Trenches community. You can find it there as well. Links with 2is.co/IM911. The Trenches is free, and we've got all kinds of stuff there in that community, so make sure to check that out. You can see this on Facebook, YouTube, X, as well as LinkedIn Live, and then I've got clips on Instagram Reels as well as TikTok, and then you can listen 24/7 on Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify, iHeartRadio, your favorite podcasting app, and withinthetrenches.net. Have a good one, everyone, and we will see you all in the next one. And scene.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, that was excellent. Thank you again.
No, I appreciate you.
Imagine listening to someone's worst day every single day. Imagine listening as someone experiences life through their worst nightmare to the miracle of birth or a life saved. I'm Ricardo Martinez, a former 911 dispatcher, and for years, I've been recording the voices of a hidden world, ours. I've provided a space for 911 dispatchers to share their powerful stories. It started as a peer support session and continues. Dispatchers sitting together, sharing out loud, or writing down what they couldn't say. Some stories will grip you. Stories of heartbreak, resilience, and calls that haunt us long after the line goes quiet. But imagine listening is more than heavy emotion. It's about healing. It's about laughing through the chaos, lifting each other up, and reminding the world that dispatchers are human too. The lighthearted will balance the heavy. Experience the power of storytelling, a podcast for the thin gold line and those who want to understand it. This is Imagine Listening. Your worst day is our everyday. Subscribe now wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.